The internet is on fire right now, and this latest celebrity situation has everyone refreshing timelines like their life depends on it. What started as whispers has exploded into full-blown chaos, and fans are trying to piece together what's real, what's rumor, and what's just straight-up internet fantasy. We're talking about a drama triangle that allegedly involves Iman Shumpert, Teyana Taylor, and rising star Aaron Pierre, and social media is absolutely chewing it up. One minute, everything looks calm and picture-perfect, and the next minute, cryptic posts, subtle unfollows, and insider claims start flooding every corner of the timeline. And you already know how the internet works. Once the speculation starts, it does not slow down. Now people are claiming Iman might be throwing subtle shade, while others swear Teyana is moving differently lately, focused, unbothered, and refusing to address anything directly. Meanwhile, Aaron Pierre's name suddenly getting pulled into the conversation has only added fuel to the fire, with fans debating whether there's a connection, or if the internet is simply doing what it does best, creating a storyline out of thin air. But here's where it gets even messier. Every new post, every vague caption, every liked comment is being dissected like it's courtroom evidence. Fans are zooming in, connecting dots that may or may not exist, and turning quiet moments into headline-level drama. And the memes. Out of control. The takes. Even wilder. So the real question is this a genuine behind-the-scenes shakeup in a celebrity love story? Or just another case of the internet turning speculation into a full-blown saga? Either way, one thing is clear. This story is far from over. And if you blink, you might miss the next twist that sends the entire timeline into meltdown again. Stay tuned. Because in this world of fame, relationships, and receipts, nothing stays quiet for long. The internet has been in a complete frenzy over a wave of celebrity speculation that has taken on a life of its own, and what makes it even more chaotic is how quickly a few small moments online turned into a full-blown narrative that fans can't stop dissecting, debating, and reshaping in real time. It all begins with subtle shifts that social media users claim they noticed, cryptic captions, changes in posting patterns, and unfollow activity that people love to treat like digital fingerprints of a deeper story happening behind the scenes. In this whirlwind of assumptions, names like Iman Shumpert, Teyana Taylor, and Aaron Pierre have been pulled into trending conversations, not through confirmed reports or official statements, but through layers of online interpretation, fan theories, and viral commentary that spread faster than anyone can verify. What makes the situation so explosive is how each audience member seems to be building their own version of events, connecting dots that may or may not even belong in the same picture, while influencers and gossip pages amplify every detail with dramatic captions designed to keep engagement soaring. Some users insist that there are signs of tension hidden in plain sight, pointing to social media activity as if it were evidence in a courtroom, while others argue that people are reading far too deeply into completely normal celebrity behavior, reminding everyone that public figures often live under a microscope where even the smallest gesture becomes headline material. Still, the conversation refuses to slow down, especially as fans analyze past interviews, resurfaced clips, and old interactions with a level of intensity that turns casual curiosity into a full investigative thread. The mention of Aaron Pierre in particular has added a new layer of intrigue, with some claiming his rising profile in entertainment has unintentionally placed him at the center of speculation, even though there is no confirmed connection to the narrative being built online. Meanwhile, our discussions about Teyana Taylor often swing between admiration for her artistry and fascination with her private life, as audiences project storylines onto her based on limited or incomplete information. Iman Shumpert's name entering the discourse has only intensified the chatter, as people interpret silence, timing, and past public appearances through wildly different lenses, each interpretation feeding into the next wave of viral content. The reality, however, is that much of what is circulating exists in the grey space between rumour and imagination, where entertainment culture thrives on ambiguity and where a single post can be stretched into dozens of possible meanings depending on who is watching. Despite the lack of confirmed details, the story continues to evolve because social media rewards momentum over accuracy. Thus, and every new comment section becomes a breeding ground for theories that escalate the drama further. Influencers summarize, react, and exaggerate, while audiences respond with shock, disbelief, and endless curiosity, creating a cycle where attention itself becomes the fuel that keeps the narrative alive. Even those trying to shut down misinformation often find themselves inadvertently contributing to its spread, as engagement spikes every time the topic is mentioned. In the middle of it all, the celebrities at the center of the discussion remain publicly silent, which only adds to the mystery and gives fans even more space to speculate about what might or might not be happening behind closed doors. That silence is interpreted in multiple ways. Some see it as confirmation, others as a refusal to entertain baseless chatter. But either way, it keeps the internet locked in. As the conversation continues to shift from platform to platform, one thing becomes clear. Modern celebrity culture is no longer just about what is officially said or confirmed, but about how quickly stories can be built, reshaped, and amplified by collective curiosity. And in this case, the line between reality and rumour has become so blurred that the audience itself is now an active participant in writing the narrative, one post, one comment, and one theory at a time, ensuring that the discussion stays alive long after it first began. As the conversation continues to spiral across platforms, the online atmosphere only grows more intense, with each passing hour adding new layers of speculation that feel bigger, louder, and more dramatic than the last. What started as casual commentary has now evolved into a full-blown digital soap opera, where every repost, reaction video, and comment thread seems to introduce a new angle to the story, even though none of it is officially confirmed. People online are now treating fragmented moments, like old clips resurfacing, brief public appearances, and unrelated interviews, as if they are pieces of a puzzle waiting to be completed. The involvement of Iman Shumpert in these discussions has become a central talking point, not because of any verified statement or direct action, but because fans are interpreting silence and timing in ways that fuel the narrative further, and every subtle detail gets magnified. A like on a post becomes meaningful, a lack of response becomes telling, and even completely unrelated content gets pulled into the storyline by audiences eager for answers that may not even exist. At the same time, Teyana Taylor's presence in the conversation is being shaped heavily by perception rather than fact, with fans projecting emotions and assumptions onto her based on how they interpret her public persona, artistic expression, and general approach to privacy. In reality, much of what is being discussed exists in the realm of interpretation. Yet the internet rarely pauses to separate what is confirmed from what is imagined when a story begins to trend at this level. Meanwhile, Aaron Pierre's name continues to circulate within the discourse in a way that highlights just how quickly online narratives can expand beyond their original scope. What may have started as unrelated fan commentary or harmless comparisons has been absorbed into a larger, more dramatic storyline that ties multiple public figures together without any clear foundation. This is where the internet's storytelling machine becomes most powerful and most unpredictable, because once names are linked in a viral conversation, they tend to remain linked regardless of factual accuracy. Influencers and gossip pages amplify these connections with emotionally charged language, framing speculation as updates and interpretations as receipts, which further blurs the line between reality and entertainment. As engagement increases, so does the intensity of the discourse, with audiences debating not just what might be true, but what feels true based on selective fragments of information. This creates a feedback loop where curiosity drives content, and content drives even more curiosity, making it difficult for the conversation to slow down or settle into clarity. At the same time, fan communities are deeply divided, with some urging caution and reminding others that public figures are often subjected to exaggerated narratives that have little grounding in reality, while others fully lean into the unfolding drama, treating it like an ongoing series where each new post is a potential plot twist. The result is a digital environment where interpretation outweighs confirmation and where silence is often louder than any official statement. Even neutral actions are being assigned meaning, as if every movement online is part of a hidden script that only the internet can decode. Yet, what is often overlooked in all this excitement is how quickly misinformation can spread when audiences prioritize entertainment over accuracy. A single speculative post can be reposted thousands of times, reshaped with each retelling until it barely resembles its original form, yet still carries enough emotional weight to feel convincing to those encountering it for the first time. Despite the noise, none of the central figures at the heart of the conversation have provided any direct confirmation of the theories being circulated, which leaves the entire narrative suspended in a space of uncertainty. That uncertainty, however, is exactly what keeps it alive. The lack of clear answers allows people to continue building theories, analyzing behavior, and searching for hidden meaning in everyday actions. In many ways, the audience has become both observer and participant, contributing to a story that evolves not through facts but through collective imagination. And as long as that dynamic continues, the discussion is likely to persist, reshaping itself with every new post, reaction, and rumor that enters the timeline, ensuring that the conversation remains active, unpredictable, and endlessly debated across the digital world. As the online discussion refuses to settle, the narrative continues to stretch into even more dramatic territory, shaped less by verified information and more by the collective imagination of millions of viewers who are glued to every update, post, and reaction circulating across social platforms. At this stage, the story has taken on a rhythm of its own, where every small detail is treated like potential evidence, and every silence is interpreted as a hidden message waiting to be decoded. The fascination is no longer just about what might have happened, but about how quickly people can construct an entire storyline from fragments that were never confirmed in the first place. In this environment, figures like Iman Shumpert and Teyana are constantly being discussed not through direct statements, but through layers of interpretation that shift depending on who is speaking and what angle they choose to emphasize. The absence of clarity has created a vacuum, and in that vacuum, speculation grows louder, more detailed, and increasingly confident, even without solid grounding. What makes this cycle even more intense is how quickly commentary spreads, with reaction accounts, fan pages, and short-form videos all contributing to a fast-moving ecosystem where every new post feels like an update, even when nothing factual has actually changed. As the conversation deepens, Aaron Pierre's name continues to surface in ways that highlight how easily online narratives can expand beyond their original boundaries. A single mention, a comparison, or even a passing comment can be amplified into a major talking point once it enters the viral space, and from there, it becomes difficult to remove it from the larger story being constructed by audiences. This phenomenon is not unique to any one individual, but reflects the broader nature of internet culture. But where attention tends to flatten distinctions between confirmed reality and creative interpretation. Once a narrative gains momentum, it begins to pull unrelated elements into its orbit, stitching together a version of events that feels cohesive to viewers, even if it lacks factual support. In this case, the inclusion of multiple high-profile names has created a web of speculation that grows more complex with each retelling. As people attempt to map relationships, timelines, and hidden meanings onto interactions that may have no connection at all. The result is a constantly evolving storyline that is shaped in real time by engagement, curiosity, and the desire to be part of the unfolding conversation. Meanwhile, the emotional tone of the online space continues to shift between disbelief, excitement, and skepticism, with different audiences interpreting the same information in completely different ways. Some viewers approach the situation with caution, emphasizing the importance of not jumping to conclusions based on incomplete or unverified content, while others fully engage with the drama, treating it as an unfolding saga where each new rumor adds depth and intrigue. This contrast in reactions only fuels the overall momentum, as debates between different perspectives generate even more visibility for the topic. In many ways, the conversation becomes less about the individuals involved and more about the experience of participating in a shared cultural moment, where everyone is trying to interpret the same digital signals but arriving at entirely different conclusions. The comment sections under trending posts reflect this divide clearly, with threads filled with theories, counter-theories, emotional reactions, and attempts to piece together a coherent narrative from scattered pieces of information. As time passes, the original spark of the discussion becomes less important than the ongoing evolution of the narrative itself. What once may have been a simple observation or minor online interaction has now transformed into a sprawling, multi-layered conversation that continues to grow regardless of whether new factual developments emerge. The silence from the individuals at the center of the discussion remains one of the most powerful forces driving the speculation, as it leaves space for interpretation to flourish unchecked. Every day without confirmation adds another layer of mystery, and every new post or comment risks being absorbed into the larger storyline, whether it belongs there or not. In this way, the internet demonstrates its ability to turn ambiguity into entertainment and curiosity into sustained engagement. The result is a constantly moving narrative that exists somewhere between reality and imagination, shaped equally by what is known, what is assumed, and what is collectively invented by the audience, watching it unfold. As the storyline continues to evolve across social media platforms, the conversation has now reached a point where the narrative feels almost self-sustaining, as if it no longer requires new information to keep going. Instead, it survives on interpretation, repetition, and the constant reshaping of small details that are being amplified far beyond their original context. Sure, the digital audience has become deeply invested in connecting dots that may not even belong in the same picture, treating unrelated posts, comments, and public appearances as pieces of a larger emotional puzzle. In this environment, the names Iman Shumpert and Teyana remain central to the discussion, not because of any confirmed developments, but because their public visibility naturally attracts attention whenever speculation begins to circulate. The internet's tendency to assign meaning to silence plays a major role here, as the lack of direct statements is often interpreted as something far more significant than it actually is. Instead of allowing uncertainty to remain unresolved, audiences tend to fill in the gaps with theories that feel emotionally satisfying, even if they are not supported by evidence. At the same time, Aaron Pierre's continued presence in the conversation highlights how quickly online discourse can expand beyond its original boundaries. What may have started as a passing mention or a loosely connected reference has now been woven into a much larger narrative that includes speculation, assumptions, and imaginative storytelling from various corners of the internet. This expansion is fueled by the way content spreads in the modern digital ecosystem, where short clips, reposted screenshots, and reaction commentary often replace full context, leaving audiences to piece together meaning from fragments. As each platform contributes its own interpretation, the story becomes increasingly layered, with each new version slightly altering the tone or implication of the last. This process creates a sense of momentum that feels like ongoing revelation, even when no new verified information has actually emerged. The role of influencers, gossip pages, and reaction accounts in this cycle cannot be overlooked, as they often act as accelerators for the narrative. By framing speculation in dramatic language and presenting interpretations as if they were developments, they contribute to the perception that the situation is constantly changing. This framing encourages audiences to stay engaged, refresh feeds, and participate in discussions that feel urgent and unfolding. As engagement increases, so does the incentive to keep the narrative alive, resulting in a loop where attention drives content creation, and content creation drives even more attention. Within this loop, accuracy often becomes secondary to momentum, and emotional reaction becomes the primary currency of visibility. This is how loosely connected observations can transform into widely discussed storylines that dominate timelines for extended periods of time. Meanwhile, public reaction continues to reflect a wide spectrum of perspectives, ranging from skepticism to full immersion in the unfolding drama. Some individuals emphasize the importance of critical thinking, reminding others that online speculation should not be mistaken for verified truth, especially when it involves private matters of public figures. Others, however, engage with the situation as a form of entertainment, treating the evolving discussion like an ongoing narrative that invites participation and interpretation. This divide in audience behavior contributes to the persistence of the topic, as debate itself becomes a driver of visibility. Every disagreement, counterpoint, and reaction post adds another layer of engagement, ensuring that the conversation remains active even in the absence of new developments. Over time, the distinction between observation and invention becomes increasingly blurred as repeated retellings of the story begin to take on a life of their own. Each user contributes a slightly different version of events based on their understanding, emotional response, or exposure to different fragments of content. These variations accumulate and merge into a collective narrative that feels cohesive to those participating in it, even if it lacks a factual foundation. In this way, the story becomes less about what is actually known and more about what is collectively imagined. The individuals at the center of the discussion remain largely silent, which only adds to the interpretive space that the audience fills so freely. That silence, whether intentional or circumstantial, becomes a canvas onto which endless theories are projected. Ultimately, what is unfolding is not just a celebrity discussion, but a reflection of how modern digital culture processes uncertainty. In an environment where attention moves quickly and content is consumed in fragments, narratives are built collaboratively by audiences who may never have access to the full picture. The result is a constantly shifting storyline shaped by perception, repetition, and engagement rather than verified fact. And as long as curiosity remains high and unanswered questions continue to circulate, the conversation is likely to persist, when evolving with every new interpretation added to the timeline. And just like that, the timeline keeps spinning, with every new post adding more fuel to a story that's already taken on a life of its own. Whether it's real, exaggerated, or somewhere in between, one thing is clear. People can't stop watching, dissecting, and debating every detail as it unfolds. But now the question is on you. Do you think this is genuine behind-the-scenes drama finally coming to light? Or is the internet doing what it does best, turning silence and speculation into a full-blown viral storyline? Drop your thoughts, because in situations like this, the comments section is where the next twist always seems to begin.